All right, hey VC, I'm Jamie. Welcome back. We are back with another video, and hopefully everybody's doing well out there. Here in southwestern Ontario in the Stratford area, just getting absolutely walloped with the winter once again. It has been snowing and cold wind. It's like a cold wind from Valhalla. I tell you, it's winter time. So we're going to get a vinyl update for you this one. And we got a new album off the top, and then, of course, some used vinyl. I want to thank Anthony at AGK Vinyl Life. I'll leave a link to his YouTube channel. And he's also on Instagram, and I'm on Instagram. You can check me out at JamesCottle519. So anyway, on Anthony's Instagram account, he posted the new Kim Mitchell album, which I had full intentions of picking up and did. This is Kim Mitchell's new album, The Big Fantasize. Now, if you're not familiar with Kim Mitchell, he was with the band Max Webster, went out on a great solo career. He's been away from it for a few years, so kind of back with this one. And this one's a little different for Kim Mitchell's sound. I mean, Kim Mitchell often had quite a rockin' sound, like Go for Soda. Number of ballads on here. There's still a few rockers, but a lot more ballads. I could see some country artists covering some of the tracks on here. Absolutely love Summer Lovers Autumn Wine, and the track Wishes is a beautiful song. Now for the live album, it's called The Big Live, and it features 3 songs from his solo years, Lager and Ale, Rockland Wonderland, and All We Are, but it also features Paradise Skies from the Max Webster years. So this is a double album. And I think it's absolutely terrific. I'm a big Kim Mitchell fan, so I was happy to hear that he was putting out a new album. And with the bonus live disc, it's great value, fantastic. This is on pretty much traditional black vinyl, but this looks like pretty much like that. And it's on the El Macombo label. Now you might remember the El Macombo, a great club, night spot, hot spot in Toronto, where the Rolling Stones performed, where Maggie Trudeau was there, and April Wine also had their live at the El Macombo album. And the El Macombo, I think, has now sort of come back. But of course, now in COVID, they're not really able to have any actual shows or concerts there. They've done a few streamed events, but not too much. But yeah, on El Macombo label. So Kim Mitchell, The Big Fantasize, new and really great. Really enjoyed picking that up. Okay, so used vinyl. How about, I've shown this, I believe, on my Instagram page, a Cheap Trick, and Next Position Please. Now, these are the years of Cheap Trick that I kind of had lost track of the band, kind of gotten away from the band. This is 1983. Solid album, and this is with the newer bass player at the time, John Brandt, who is a dead ringer for the old bass player. But really a great album. I'm so happy that I picked this up, and I got to rediscover more of the Cheap Trick albums. You know, I don't know the 70s stuff, but a lot of that sort of 80s stuff I kind of lost track, and this is a gold stamp promo, so I was happy to pick that up. And this came with the original inner sleeve that has pictures of their catalog there. And of course on the great Epic label, but a great album. Okay, I was able to score a number of Lee Michaels albums. I haven't had a chance to listen to them all, but this is Lee Michaels live double album. Really great. Lee Michaels had the hit Do You Know What I Mean? And slightly interesting story behind this one. I had this album initially a couple years back. I picked it up, a used vinyl. I was listening to the first disc, terrific. Going to the second disc, okay, it's the same album. It had the original inner sleeves and all the cutouts and everything like that, but it was supposed to be a 2-record set, but it had the same record in there twice. But this one has both proper discs, and it is just terrific. So I like the sort of the die cut here, and so then we have like that, and just solid, like really great. And as I say, Lee Michaels, I've heard good things about this artist. I know just like a few of the hits, but really looking forward to delving into some of the records for sure. And this on the great A&M record label. Okay, here was a really cheap kind of blind buy. New City Rockers. Don't know anything about this band other than one of the band members, Bob Rivers, who plays Traps, is the same Bob Rivers who would come out with those kind of twisted Christmas albums. That's the same Bob Rivers. And this album is noted for a cover of Led Zeppelin's Black Dog. This came out in 1986, 1987, when there weren't too many Led Zeppelin covers happening, so it was interesting that a band kind of attempted a Led Zeppelin cover, and this is also a promo copy, gold stamp promo, and on the Critique label, New City Rockers. It's kind of, you know, it's as it looks. It's rocking. It's not too bad. The cover of a Black Dog is pretty good. Not a super memorable album, but yeah, apparently Bob Rivers is the same Bob Rivers with the Twisted Radio or the Twisted Christmas, all the novelty kind of Christmas songs that you hear. Okay, Rick James was able to pick this one up. Rick James, Stone City Band, Come Get It. And this one, I believe, came out in 1978 on Motown, and this was still in the shrink. You and I was one of the hits from this one. Always enjoy picking up some Rick James on the Gordy label. Now, it's interesting for this, though. This has what you see, this thing here that looks like, and it says MAPL. That's the Canadian content or a Canadian labeling. I've talked about it before. Basically, to qualify as Canadian content on radio, you had to have two of these four things. So if you had the music, the lyrics, the artist, or produced in Canada. So this one was not produced in Canada. But what's interesting is like, wait a minute, Rick James. Now, Rick James was a quote-unquote draft dodger. So he did come up to Canada, spent a fair bit of time here. In fact, he was in the Toronto area, formed the Mina Birds with Neil Young as a band member. But I wasn't quite sure. I thought maybe he had gone back or wasn't quite sure. But at this stage, in 1978, he was still considered at least a landed immigrant. And so this had qualified for Canadian radio play, according to that. But I don't think after that, like when you got into like the 80s and Super Freight, I don't recall seeing that. So I don't know sort of the whole story behind that. Daryl from Off the Beaten Tracks may have more information about that. But yeah, you kind of forget that Rick James was, at least a part of his stuff was considered Canadian content, that sort of thing. Speaking of which, another draft dodger, an artist you may not be familiar with, is Jesse Winchester. Absolutely a terrific artist. This is his debut on Bearsville. Again, a situation where he was a draft dodger from the U.S., came up to Canada. He did take out to Canadian citizenship. He did wind up going back to the U.S., died a few years back. But this has just that wonderful kind of folk country rock sound. This album produced by Robbie Robertson for Bearsville label with Todd Rundgren engineering. Beautiful album. So if you see Jesse Winchester albums, usually they're fairly inexpensive, and I was able to score a few Jesse Winchester albums. Do pick them up because it's just got such a lovely voice and just a great sound. I was able to pick up Jesse Winchester and Let the Rough Side Drag. And this one was from also on Bearsville, and I'm not seeing a year on this one. Maybe it's and this one's from 1976. And we have Jesse Winchester, Learn to Love It, also on Bearsville, the great label. And yes, for 1974, this one. Okay, how about Little Blues? Oh my goodness, Omar and the Howlers. Heard of this band, didn't really know very much of their material, but man, this is rocking from start to finish. This is one of those albums, you put it on. So this is from 1984, and this is the Canadian press on Stony Plain, which is a great Alberta blues and folk label, still going strong, a terrific label. I think in the States this was printed on Austin Records, that's the label. But this is one of those albums, you put it on and you want more. Like, it's one of those, it leaves you wanting more, which I think is a great, marks for a great album for sure. As I say, I don't know a lot of their stuff, Omar and the Howlers, but definitely going to seek out some more for sure. And whenever I see any Ry Cooder, I always pick up a Ry Cooder, Get Rhythm. So he does the Johnny Cash track, Get Rhythm. And Ry Cooder does his best kind of Johnny Cash on that one. Another, wonderful, enjoyable album. Ry Cooder's such a great player. And this on the Warner label from I want to say 87? Yes, from 1987. Here's a Bruce Springsteen album that I never owned until now. Bruce Springsteen, Nebraska. Again, I don't know what else you can say about this absolutely stark, beautiful album. Incredible. Just so nice to listen to. But I never had owned this on vinyl. And this comes with the great inner sleeve. And what a major departure for Bruce Springsteen at the time. Nebraska. And what year did this come out? Gosh, 1982. Oh my goodness. Okay, here's the Beach Boys and 15 Big Ones. And I keep thinking about Brother Brian, who's of course on YouTube. And I think there was some, I don't know if it was one of his streams or whatever, where he talked about 15 Big Ones and being just a little baffled by this album with a title like that. You're expecting either like a greatest hits or a really solid album, and this is not one of their better ones. It does have rock and roll music. Largely it's covers. It's Brian Wilson's kind of rock and roll album, so it does have rock and roll music, which they did have a hit with. Also the track It's Okay, which is not a bad song, but it's really covers of Chapel of Love, Palisades Park, Blueberry Hill, In the Still of the Night. Again, not a bad album, not a great album, certainly for the Beach Boys, but the title is, to say the least, a little misleading. 15 Big Ones. All right, so I just think of Brother Brian with this one, and this on the, of course, the Brother Records label. Brother Records and Reprise. Okay, how about a little Canadian prog folk, Beau Dommage. Really enjoy this band. A band that sings in French, so I'm not fully, c'est dommage, I'm not bilingual, but really enjoy their sound. I just think that bands like Beau Dommage and Harmonium just have an incredibly beautiful sound. And this one on Capitol. And this one came out, I want to say, late 70s maybe for this one, or am I not quite right on that one? 1974. My goodness. 1974. And then we've got Beau Dommage and Passengers. Titles in French. But just a great sound. Yeah, worth checking out for sure. And this one, also on Capitol, from 1977. Okay, Oscar Peterson, Nelson Riddle, can't go wrong. I didn't pay too much for this. The special magic of Oscar Peterson and Nelson Riddle. Of course, Nelson Riddle really giving all that wonderful orchestration. And with Oscar Peterson, it totally works. This was on Quality Records, Birchmount, one of these sort of budget labels, but really enjoyed listening to it. Oscar Peterson. Okay, a Rod Stewart album. This is Rod Stewart, and the title of this album is technically which was the hit from this album, which is, which song is it? Every Beat of My Heart. So if you look up this album, it's called Every Beat of My Heart. However, with this album, other than the song that's included, there's no actual title for this album. There's no title that says Every Beat of My Heart on the cover, on the back, on the spine. It just says Rod Stewart. There's no Every Beat of My Heart. On the inner sleeve, it just says Rod Stewart that I can find. There's no indication that it's called that. I don't know if it's in retrospect that it was called that. Even on the label, it's simply called Rod Stewart. But if you look up this album, it tends to be called, which was one of the hits from this one, Every Beat of My Heart. But there you go. And interesting, Bob Ezrin has some production work on this album as well. Again, it's another Rod Stewart pop album, enjoyable to listen to for sure, but I just find that a little strange. I don't know the backstory on that one. Okay, the Babies. So many great albums. Of course, the Babies featuring John Waite, who would go on to a pretty successful solo career. But great rockin' stuff. It's a band you kind of forgot about, but they had some really, really nice albums. Not too many big hits or anything like that. And this on Chrysalis, and from 1977. There you go. And it's a band at the time, remembering that I hadn't realized that they were a UK band, but the Babies. And speaking of UK, Wales this time, from Cardiff, Dave Edmonds. I don't know why. I have a number of Dave Edmonds albums, but I haven't had this one until now. Dave Edmonds, Repeat When Necessary. What a solid, great album. And this one is still in the shrink, but so many wonderful tracks. Girls Talk, kicking things off. I forgot he did a version of Queen of Hearts, the Juice Newton or Marilee Rush. Was it Marilee Rush who wrote? No, she did Angel of the Morning, sorry. But he does Queen of Hearts, the Juice Newton song. And yeah, Girls Talk on here. So great. Like just a great rockin' Dave Edmonds album. And again, totally forget that he was on Swan Song label. Okay, a little bit of soul for you. How about Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes featuring Teddy or Theodore Pendergrass. You know, so good. Such great R&B soul. And this on the Philadelphia International Records label, so when it's on that, you know you're going to be in for some great music. And yeah, no major hits on this one, but really enjoyed from 1975. Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Okay, I was thrilled to pick up another Tony Joe White album. Love Tony Joe White. Elvis Presley covered some of his stuff. Another solid Tony Joe White album with a nice gatefold on this one, and a bluesy, soulful, rockin' kind of sound. Polk Salad Annie was the track that Elvis had covered, and this on the classic Warner Brothers label, and Tony Joe White, produced by Peter Asher on this one. And yeah, really happy to pick that up because I don't often see Tony Joe White stuff in the wild. Okay, another Wild Cherry album. So many albums from this band, Wild Cherry. And this is Electrified Funk. And I think in terms of Wild Cherry albums, this is one of the more tamer covers, shall we say, and even the gatefold. But for Wild Cherry, that's fairly tame, shall we say. But, you know, another enjoyable pop funk kind of album. This on Epic Sweet City from 1977 on that label. I enjoy Wild Cherry. I think they had a good sound overall. Great band. I have featured this one on my Instagram channel. This is The and Infected. And what a cover. And gosh, what a great band, The. Just I really like their kind of post-punk, funky kind of stuff going on from 1986. If you see the albums, definitely pick them up. And they're albums that really required repeated listens. Just really enjoyable. And this on the Epic label. But yeah, I think I showed this one on my Instagram channel. Okay, another one. How about The Main Ingredient? Absolutely love this cover. A little bit more kind of soulful stuff. This is called Black Seeds, The Main Ingredient. I believe they had the hit Everybody Plays the Fool. That's not featured on this one. This is on RCA Dynaflex, Canadian Press, and I'm trying to get the year. I think we're looking at 70, I want to say 72 on this one. But again, enjoyable album for sure. And The Main Ingredient in the Black Seeds. I believe 1972 on this one. It doesn't seem to have a year on that. Okay, here's a band that often doesn't get the recognition or the props it deserves. The Buckinghams. This is Time and Charges, featuring, I mean, they had just a really nice, that sort of blue-eyed soul, if you will. The song Don't You Care, absolutely lovely. Mercy, Mercy, Mercy is terrific. The Buckinghams, you know, it's pop, but it's Blue-Eyed Soul, but definitely worth a listen if you're not familiar with this group, the Buckinghams. From the 60s, do check them out. And this one on the great Columbia 2i label. Love that label for sure. Okay, picked up a couple of K.D. Lang albums, and it's interesting, lately K.D. Lang has been seeing some reissues. I think there were some Record Store Canada reissues, which is interesting, because often with K.D. Lang, I can generally find her stuff fairly inexpensively, or at least, used vinyl fairly inexpensively in the wild. These are two great albums. This is K.D. Lang in Shadowland, where she is working with producer Owen Bradley. This is called the Owen Bradley Sessions. Owen Bradley worked with Patsy Cline, so it's very much in that style. This is a beautiful album. The orchestration is wonderful. And K.D. Lang, Canadian artist, and she is just an amazing vocalist and wonderful voice on this one on Sire Records. And then there's the Honky Tonk Angels medley on this one, where she is working with, is it Loretta Lynn on this one, and Kitty Wells, I believe. A number of the great, wonderful, I believe it's that. So yes, Honky Tonk, Brenda Lee, Loretta Lynn, and Kitty Wells on that track, Honky Tonk Angels medley, which is really worth the price of admission alone. And then this one, this is Absolute Torch and Twang. Another really solid album. I think this was one of the last albums before she then made the switch to more pop or more sort of AC or adult contemporary sound. So again, solid country all the way through on this one. And this was, gosh, when did this one come out? This was again on Sire. Is this 80s, or are we starting to get into the 90s with this one? So 1989, I believe. Yeah. But yeah, some of her albums lately have been the reissued. But as I say, generally, I don't have too much of a problem finding. Not that there's a whole bunch of them, but K.D. Lang albums don't seem to go. They don't seem to be that expensive for sure. Okay, Steve Miller Band, such a solid album. Steve Miller Band and Fly Like an Eagle. I do have a Steve Miller box set of his albums, but it is nice to have some of the at least original copies. You know, I mean, what can you say about this album from start to finish? It's terrific. Rockin' Me, Take the Money and Run. Oh, I mean, such a great album. Such a great album overall. And on the Capitol label. And I forgot some of the special guest featured on this one. Is James Cotton featured on this album? It's kind of hard to see, but maybe not on this particular album, but really, really nice to see. Okay, so that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for dropping by, and we'll chat again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.